So you did it. You got the job, you survived the first month, and that notification finally popped up on your phone. The first paycheck has officially landed. It's a weird feeling, isn't it? It's a mix of, I'm finally rich, and, wait, is this all I get after taxes?
Before you go out and blow half of it on a celebratory dinner or that pair of sneakers you've been eyeing for 3 months, I want you to stop and breathe. What you do with this specific paycheck and the next 3 after it will literally set the trajectory for your entire financial life. I'm not exaggerating. This isn't about being a buzzkill. It's about making sure that 10 years from now, you aren't still trading every single hour of your life for $1.
The biggest mistake most people make with their first salary is that they treat it as spending money. They think, I worked hard, I deserve this. And you do. But you also deserve to not be stressed about rent when you're 35. You deserve to have the option to quit a job you hate because you have a financial cushion. Let's get real about how to actually invest this first paycheck in a way that actually moves the needle.
First, we need to talk about the invisible investment. Before you even open a brokerage account or look at a stock ticker, your first investment needs to be in your freedom fund. I know, emergency fund sounds boring. So let's call it what it is, the I Can Say No to a Toxic Boss Fund. If this is your first job, your biggest risk isn't the stock market crashing, it's life happening. Your car breaks down, your laptop dies, or the company does a restructuring. If you don't have at least $1,000 to $2,000 tucked away immediately, you are one bad day away from high-interest credit card debt. And credit card debt is the absolute killer of wealth. So, step 0. Take a chunk of that first salary and put it in a high-yield savings account. Don't touch it, don't even look at it. Now, let's talk about the free money that most people ignore. If your company offers a 401k match and you aren't taking it, you are literally throwing away a part of your salary. It is a 100% return on your investment, guaranteed. If they match up to 3%, you put in 3%. It's that simple. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. This is the only time in life you get a free lunch, so eat it.
But let's move past the basics. You're young, you've got time on your side, and you want to know where to put the actual investment money. Here is the secret that the finance bros on TikTok won't tell you. You don't need to find the next Nvidia or Tesla. In fact, trying to do that with your first salary is the fastest way to lose it and get discouraged. The most powerful force in the universe is compound interest. But compound interest only works if you stay in the game. That's why for your first few paychecks, I'm a huge fan of the boring is better strategy. Look into low-cost index funds or ETFs, specifically ones that track the S&P 500. When you buy an S&P 500 index fund, you're basically buying a tiny slice of the 500 biggest companies in America. You're betting on the entire economy, not just one CEO who might make a bad tweet and tank the stock. It's not flashy, it's not going to make you a millionaire by next Tuesday, but it is the most proven way for regular people to build massive wealth over time.
Now, I want to pivot to something that almost no one talks about when it comes to investing your first salary: investing in your earning power. Think about it this way. If you invest $500 of your first salary into the stock market and it grows by 10% in a year, you made $50. Cool. But if you take that same $500 and buy a specialized certification course, or a piece of equipment that makes your work 20% faster, or even a coach who teaches you how to negotiate your next raise, that $500 could turn into a $5,000 or $10,000 increase in your annual salary. When you're starting out, you are your greatest asset. The ROI on your own skills will always outperform the stock market in the early stages of your career. So don't feel guilty if you spend a portion of your first paycheck on a book, a seminar, or a tool that makes you better at what you do. That is a high-level investment move.
Let's talk about the lifestyle creep trap. This is the silent killer of the middle class. You get your first salary, and suddenly you feel like you can afford a nicer apartment, a better car, and more expensive drinks on the weekend. The problem is, once you raise your cost of living, it is incredibly hard to pull it back down. My advice? Try to live like a student for just one more year. If you can keep your expenses low while your income starts to grow, the gap between what you earn and what you spend is where your wealth is created.
That gap is your fuel. The bigger the gap, the faster you reach financial freedom. If you spend everything you earn because everyone else is doing it, you'll be a slave to your paycheck for the next 40 years. I also want to touch on the psychological aspect. Investing can feel scary. It feels like you're throwing your hard-earned money into a black hole. That's why I want you to start small, even if it's just $50 or $100. The goal of your first salary isn't to become a mogul. It's to build the habit of being an investor. Most people are consumers by default. They get money, they think about what they can buy. You need to flip the switch and become a producer. When you get money, you think about what you can own. Ownership is the key. When you invest, you own a piece of the world's productivity. You have thousands of people working at Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon, essentially working for you because you own a piece of their success. That shift in mindset, from being a buyer to being an owner, is the most important thing you can do this month. Let's break down a realistic first salary blueprint for you. If you have $1,000 left over after your basic needs like rent and food, $500 goes straight to your Freedom Fund, savings. $200 goes into your 401k or Roth IRA, index funds. $200 goes toward high-interest debt if you have it, or more savings if you don't. $100 is your guilt-free money. Use it to buy something that makes you happy. You have to reward yourself, otherwise you'll burn out and quit the plan. This 50, 30, 20, or whatever ratio you choose doesn't have to be perfect. The math matters less than the movement. Just move the money. I remember my first real paycheck. I spent it on a bunch of stuff I don't even own anymore. I don't remember the meals, I don't wear the clothes, and the tech I bought is obsolete. What I do remember is the first time I saw my investment account grow by itself. It was only a few dollars, but it was the first time I realized that my money could work harder than I could. That feeling is addictive. So here's my challenge to you. Don't let this first paycheck just happen to you. Be the architect of it. Even if you can only afford to invest the price of a coffee, do it today. Open that account, set up the auto transfer. Because the version of you that is 40 years old, 50 years old, and 60 years old is either going to look back at today and thank you, or they're going to wonder why you didn't just start. You've got the job, you've got the check, now go get the freedom. If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments what your first big adult purchase was, or what you're planning to invest in first. I read all of them. Let's keep the conversation going. I'll see you in the next video.